Hello, everyone. Welcome here.
Yeah,
we're on the air.
We're on the air. We're excited today to go through the deep dive into some of the new key features of FME 23.
It is, we had a bit of chance in the last week or 10 days to reflect on all the stuff.
Yeah.
And it's an enormous release, actually.
Yeah.
And even I will be embarrassed to say one of the early features, at least for me, I had a mental breakthrough about even a whole other dimension about how it can be used yesterday.
Yes. And we added some slides, as we always do, Dale. We
Yes.
added slides at the last minute because, anyway. So you'll see the keywords here are, for the enterprise, because a lot of the stuff we've added is thinking about, what do folks need that are deploying this in larger deployments as part of their critical infrastructure.
Yeah. Some of the things that when we get into several of these things have been on boards around here for literally years.
Yeah.
And so it is really delightful to be able to present it to everybody. So maybe we should kick it off.
Yeah, let's go. I'm Don Murray. I'm sitting on the left, but my picture's on the right.
And I'm Dale Lutz. I'm the other co-founder of SAFE. And this is probably the 30 or 40th one of these we've done.
Yeah, exactly. But they're all exciting, and that's the great thing about data is there's just more and more green fields in front of us. So
and we're joined by someone else who probably wasn't even there when we did the first one of these, wasn't even born yet.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm thrilled to be joined as the webinar moderator today.
Awesome. So
it's a fairly action-packed agenda.
Yeah, it really is. You can see all the stuff we're going to talk about there, and we'll just go quickly through an introduction, a little bit about who SAFE is for those who are joining us for the first time. Welcome.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go through all the things that we've added for FME. Well, not all the things, but some of the things we thought were notable to dive into.
The highlights, because again, I didn't even get the number, but the team has literally produced thousands of changes.
Yeah.
And so we have the hard job of trying to refine that into something we can share with you during this time. There's going to be several places in here where we'll give you links to other webinars that we've done if you want to dig in deeper on some of those. So Elizabeth is standing by to paste those links in.
Yep.
And you can watch the chat for those as they roll by. But with that, should we get right into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Perfect. So just a couple quick notes before we get started. If you are new to Livestorm and you have any audio or visual issues, you can click the help button on the bottom left for 4 simple steps to troubleshoot that. Share your reactions with us throughout. You're already doing that. Thank you with that react button. We do have a poll coming up, so we have that polls tab, as well as the questions tab. Drop any questions you might have throughout. We do have Stuart and Vivian on the back end with us this morning, and then we'll have live questions at the end. And the chat, keep letting us know where you're tuning in from there.
Yeah, someone from New Zealand. It's probably late in New Zealand, not even early.
Yes.
I don't know.
You get to that point where, is it early or late?
Yes.
So,
3 a.m. Well, that's hardcore. And you're a better person than me.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth, should we shut the cameras down just to save a bit of bandwidth?
Yeah, that's a good time for that now. And we'll see you at the end.
Okay, let's go here. Yeah, so one of the things, and that's the theme of this, is giving you more flexibility on how you deploy FME and also how you engage other tools. So we're going to see some of that, even for, all the way from form, where all the ideas are started or formed, up to flow. So it's really exciting, and as we move into larger and larger, this is where we're really focusing on.
Yeah.
So a little bit about SAFE and FME. So SAFE software, for those who are new, we're Gartner. We're on the Gartner Magic Quadrant, and Gartner also has their customer's choice, voice of the customer. And we are recognized as North America's customer's choice. So you can see the other notable companies who are in our space, and we're proud to be the customer's choice.
So thanks everyone for your votes.
Yeah.
And this is a kind of safe by the numbers, and there's a lot of numbers there. And they're actually fairly large, like almost 30,000 people that have at least flirted with the FME community. So that's pretty astonishing.
Yeah, we have over 200,000 users. It's not on there, but 25,000 organizations worldwide. We've almost been doing this 30 years.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know.
pretty long.
Yep.
And that's actually our building there in the top right, or at least an artist conception.
That's right. It is our building, but the sign has not yet been updated. That's
Yes.
right.
We were thinking that we should auction off the old sign.
That's right.
It's pretty big though, I think.
It is. It is.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And these are
Yeah.
differentiators, Dale. And you can see really with every release, we push these, forward and forward even more. So,
Yeah.
And we're going to touch on this productivity, always making FME faster so
Yeah.
people can do more. And
Yeah.
so
A huge ecosystem as well. When, again, that was one of the challenges when we started to look at what we could add, all the things that are on FME Hub. It's hard to know what release do they really belong to, and what do you draw attention to, but it is a pretty big one.
Yeah. And we don't charge by, system you connect to like some of the other vendors. You get all the systems, you get all the components, all the functionality. And because, at the end of the day, we want you to use FME for more and more to solve more and more problems.
Yes.
That's what really gets us going. Yeah. And there it is, our new names.
Yeah.
For those who've been with us for a while, FME Form was desktop, FME Flow is server, and FME Flow hosted as FME Cloud. And people, were attached to the old names, but the old names, there was a confusion. Many people you'd talk to would say things like, I'm not big enough for FME server. And they wouldn't even look to see, because at the beginning, FME server really was just a way to run workspaces on large machines, but it really became much more complementing. And so now Form and Flow does better to, describe what you do. Like everything starts on Form, right? That's where every solution is formed. And so, and then Flow just takes that to the enterprise. And so,
Yeah.
And there's the picture of them. And I am excited to say that those screens may look different in the future, Dale.
Yeah. There's one thing that's constant, and that's change. But this is an example on the right-hand side of why Flow is more than just FME server running workspaces. You can do all kinds of more intelligent automations in a variety of ways.
And the data types, like we support more data types than anyone. And we continue to do that. And you can see the top three, generative AI, cloud native, and, AR, VR. Any other ones that really...
Well, there's always BIM stuff. And, we say that we started doing BIM back in about 2008, and that it just never really ends either. I mean, to some degree, I know it didn't make the highlight reel, but I saw that we actually can read and write the coordinate systems in DGN files, which was like a 30-year dream, and the dream came alive this time around. So there, I snuck one in. But that was back in 96 when we started doing CAD. So all of our work never really ends, but we do have some things we're going to call out on those top couple of bubbles on the right-hand top side. Up and to the right. That's what we like to see.
That's right. So let's dive in now and take a closer look at what FME 23 delivers to the enterprise. Okay, the first one is deploy anywhere. This is one of next slide. This is one of our differentiators, and with this release, we're adding this concept of the remote engine service. And the whole point of this is you can deploy. In the past, when we said deploy anywhere, you could put a Flow instance anywhere. So you could have a Flow instance on premise, or you could have a Flow instance in any cloud, or you could have a Flow instance in Kubernetes. What we've done with Remote Engine is now we take that to the next level, where the processing now can be just on different environments. So you could have the core on premise, and then you could have a remote engine service on AWS, another one on Google. You could even have another one in Kubernetes. So what if you had a Linux deployment, Dale, and you had some users who wanted to talk their engines to talk to ArcGIS? Could you do that as well?
Well, now you can.
But
it used to be not very easy at all.
Not very easy at all.
But now that's what this is all about.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And also security. You may have some data that you may have your FME server in one server or environment, and the data is not cannot leave the server it's on. It's very secure. And so the last thing you want to do is try to convince people, oh, I'm just going to move that data out of my server for processing. Now you can move the processing inside that server, and the data and any of the residuals never ever leave the server. So that is a huge one as well.
Yeah.
So Yep. So some of the goals, data is distributed. So let's make it easy to process the data where it resides. You're going to get the best performance, best security. And you can see some of the blockers were security and other concerns. And so the whole key is let's move the processing to the data. And that's what the engine remote service is. So now FME Flow can have processing wherever the data is. Yeah. And just some of the benefits, distributed processing, by doing the processing where the data is, it's faster. You're going to get low latency, high bandwidth. You're not going to have to move it. Load balancing. So now you can distribute the work across multiple machines really easily. You can bring up one of these remote services at any time, as needed even. And quickly add processing. Launch new machines. If one machine goes down, a remote engine service goes down, or an engine goes down, you can quickly bring one up. I mean, hardware fails all the time. And of course, security. This is one that's becoming more and more important all the time to all of our users. And so this is a really big one by enabling organizations to do that. And we touched on this. Access to special resources. Now you may have one, you may have some special resources. You don't want your entire server using it, but maybe you could do, maybe it's Windows, Linux. Maybe you want to run something in Kubernetes to talk to the ArcGIS, and that's like the special third party. So the flexibility you have now is, really unprecedented. You don't have to make that decision. Gee, where am I going to run my FME Flow, knowing that no matter where you pick, some workflows are going to suffer.
Yeah. I wonder, am I allowed to just talk about something that's going on in Safe Labs right now?
Absolutely.
So playing around with ArcGIS server inside of Linux, and then running an FME on top of Wine to communicate with it in Linux, and all of that being done as a remote engine. So you could, if you're kind of a Linux-based outfit, or if you're doing this with Kubernetes, getting that all to work. So anyway, lots of exciting things that remote engines open up, and stay tuned for more.
Oh yeah, lots more. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. So
what are you going to do, Don?
Elizabeth is going to run a demo here, and this demo is just shows the concept. So it's you can go ahead and I'll talk. Basically, a remote engine service is always already running, and this is just going to show how to communicate with it. So first of all, we're going to go and create a few queues here, and you'll see the queues initially will be, so there's Q1, and then we're going to queue.
That's not quarter one.
Q2.
I'm used to hearing Don say Q1, Q2, and this
that's right. That's right. In Q3, and you can see their system. So now what we're going to do, and that's the default. Whenever they've been system forever, now you're going to create a remote engine service on the core one, and so it's already running and it's been licensed, and we're going to make some changes to that in the future. And so now you simply type, the base name of where it is, and the username and password, and specify the queues that it's going to use, and now it will run the job there. So we test it, of course, because it's good to test it, make sure it's actually successful. Then it's okay, and you're going to see initializing, and then you go to refresh it, and basically it's ready to go. And so now, whenever a job's submitted, if we specify one of those queues, so that's what we're going to do now, you're going to see a couple of things. So he's going to pick his queue here. He's going to run a workspace. Oh yeah, notice those queues now were remote queues. It's the path of where the FME server remote engine is installed, yes. Or the FME Flow remote engine is installed. That's right. Yeah, the remote engine. Yeah. And so, and now you run it. And so you can see it says a job was submitted to the remote engine. And there's interesting things that are going on there. But you can see, because there was data that had to be sent over there, it was actually marshaled the first time. And so it could do the job. And if you click the link, now you'll notice the dialog. It's FME Flow remote engine service, and you can actually see the jobs. And so this is the initial work. What we're doing now is to make this even cleaner. So you should be able to see the logs and everything on the main server. And so now he's going to run it again. And because the data was already over there, there's smart caching. And it knows the data's there. It knows it hasn't been updated. So the second time it runs, it doesn't marshal the workspace. It doesn't marshal connections. It doesn't marshal anything, unless of course those things had changed on the main server. And and that's remote engine service. And as Dale mentioned, this is just the beginning. And so look for more on that. One of the things that we're not showing here is if there was a remote queue and jobs were marshaled to that queue, but the remote engine service was not running, we would actually, you could actually start it based on things in the queue. So yeah.
And so I think that's a good point that Crystal is making there, that you do run an installer elsewhere to install that remote engine. That's what happens. You kind of install that thing, and then you know the URL of it, and that's what you plug back into the main server. And on
containers, of course, you would do the pull. And the important thing is that remote engine service is not one engine. You can have as many engines over there as you want, and scale them up, scale them down, however you want over there too. So, and right now the licensing, you have to do the licensing on the remote engine service itself using either dynamic or standard licensing. So CPU time or standard licensing. But coming shortly, you will only license the main, and it will share its license with the remote engine service. So then you'll be able to bring these things up and down all the time. You won't have to worry about, somehow logging onto it to install the license. And over time, you're going to see that you're actually going to see the FME Flow remote engine service GUI less and less and less, to the point that you no longer see it. Yes, yes, they can. Can multiple FME Flow use the remote engines? Yes. So, yeah.
All right, we'll roll the slide ahead.
And the next one.
This is a big one too.
This is a big one. This is deployment. We call these deployment parameters, and we will go through this. So the idea here is you have multiple FME Flow instances. One could be called dev, another one could be called test, another one could be called staging, another one called production. And they would have the same configuration as far as these deployment parameters go across all of them. And then as you move the best supportability, and then as you move the your workflows from, through that stack, from test or stage to staging to development, whatever, I got them all backwards, but that's okay. You don't have to make any changes to the workspaces, the workflow, or anything. You just move the packages, and then they add the projects, and then they pick up the new one when they're on. So that's one good use.
One good use.
Yeah.
And Tobias has been waiting for this, so your patience has been rewarded.
That's right. And again, this is not complete in .0. Yeah. We've laid a lot of the groundwork, and we're continuing to work on this. And this is a fine work of Stuart.
Stuart is right on the call here, so everybody should give Stuart a high five for this. So anyway, let's get the next slide there, and we can look into it. So this is something that when Don and I were prepping this, we suddenly realized, maybe Don knew this before, but the lights didn't go on for me, that another use of this is something we've been talking about literally for more than 10 years, about having like a shared set of parameter names and values, even across just one. So in this world, I can write 3 or 4 however many workspaces I want, and I can refer to parameter 1 in all of them. And then one day you change parameter 1 to have a different value, and boom, all of them get that. Now that parameter and value thing is stored up at your FME flow. FME flow.
I almost had to put 25 cents in the jar.
And then that's just picked up automatically by Workbench to get the values out. So that's like the simplest way to think about this. I have one FME flow. I'm going to centralize some names and values of parameters and then use them across many workspaces. And that actually has a lot of value just on its own. And so looking forward to seeing people make use of that.
Absolutely.
And again, it was written on whiteboards even in the old office.
That's right.
And it's come to pass. But
next slide. Or across multiple FME form instances. So if you had Billy Bob on one and Bobby Sue on the other and Billy Ray on another one, all of them could be on different ones, but share the same parameter value. So then you can share like a database connection, but none of them actually has to have the password, right?
Yes.
And so this again will enable, this whole thing that Dale talks about a lot, at SAFE is about how do we make it easier for people to collaborate.
Yes.
But this is just another way
Yes.
of how deployment parameters enable people to collaborate. So we're really, really excited about this. So this is the second big use. And so, yeah.
But the reason that they were actually created was for this.
Yeah, exactly.
And Don, this is some amazing animation.
Oh, amazing slide work I did here.
Back,
so you can see this. There's all of the dev, test, staging, and production. They have these deployment parameters. There's a bunch of them, but host parameter one, and then another one called database. And so on development, the value of host is development, and then there's a dev value, and then the database is DevDB. And now when you move you get all working there, development, and then they move it to test. Okay, Elizabeth? And now they move it over to the test environment, and the values are different. But they did not have to go into the project moving the solution. So the solutions themselves do not have to be edited. And that's a big deal, because anytime you're forced to edit a solution, you really don't know if you got it all when you move from development to test. And now you get it working on test, Dale. So what do you do next?
You go to staging, I bet.
Yeah, and it even has different values again. But again, your solution does not have to be updated. And then this gives you great confidence. And now, last but not least, you would move it into production. And again, you have not had to change the solution as you move it through. So
I think this is the time when I use my line. This is the last time I'm going to say it.
Oh, I hope not.
Every organization has a test environment. Some of them also have a production one.
I like, it's a good one. Yeah,
it's a good line.
It is. Yeah.
But I don't know right this second if web connections are supported across this. Don, do you know if they are?
Stuart would.
Yeah, but they are going to be. So that's the right now. I know for the first time out of the gate, there's not all of the different parameter types.
Yes, they are.
Look at that.
Yes. So that's the great thing about having Stuart online.
Yes.
Yes.
So anyway, there you go. So that answers Mark's question.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, the beauty is, as Don said, you don't have to update the workspaces now.
Yeah, or the automations. And Stuart put together a nice video for us here.
Okay.
So next slide, and now a nice demo.
And now the fan mail's coming in for Stuart.
Yeah, that's right. Stuart does rock. Yep.
Okay.
And here we go. So he's going to show us the the deployment parameters that we have, and then he's going to create one. So we have two called hosting and testing parameter, and you can see the plus create button there if you wanted to create one.
Stuart, hit plus create.
No, he's not going to.
Oh.
Yeah. But you can see that this is a staging machine. So
and that's the type. And that's where you can pull down what kind of thing it's going to be.
Yeah. And a nice little information box, so
Oh, there it is. Stuart, it was database connection and web connection were there.
There you go. So yeah. And now, and so that's that. So next he's going to show how they work on FME form. So a little bit of drama. We're just waiting for the drama
to
subside.
It's exciting here.
Yeah. So here he is in form. And
there's a connection up the top right there. You can see he's
and Stuart follows my guidelines that every workspace should only have.
He's got lots of connections.
Yeah, so you can see lots of, and that's actually another new thing is now you can set your default connection. You don't have to, every time you publish or something, go and pick one. So that's a big deal.
He's going to set to a deployment parameter, I bet.
He is, yeah. Look at that.
Deployment parameters. There it is. Those are the ones that were at the, on the server. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
It's got a different color icon, and now,
yeah.
Now the magic has been unleashed.
Yeah, and you can see host staging there. Yeah. And
some people are horrified by this.
I know they're just they're falling off their chairs, and just to and now he's going to show it. Now he's going to show it inside Flow automations. And
that's easy for you to say.
And we still have to do it in. We haven't done it yet for Flow apps yet, have we, Stuart? No,
he's quiet.
He's quiet. That means we haven't done it yet. See, no.
Yeah.
And so you can see, but that's going to happen for everything on Flow. It's going to happen, and just to push it streams, absolutely everything. So it's really a big deal. So yeah. So there you go.
Oh, now he's going to production.
I know, now he's going to production. He's crazy because he's just following the Dale loops. You know what? My production server is my staging.
He's just changed it.
Yeah, he just changed it. Yeah.
Right.
So it's good.
Okay. Well,
I think that's good enough. But we have more.
Should we stop the webinar now?
Yeah, that's right.
No, that's very impressive, and well done,
Yeah,
like
that
team,
Teams.
basically.
Yeah,
That's
right.
a
Yeah.
huge deal
Yeah.
as people, our customers use
Yeah.
Flow more and more. This is
Yeah.
another compelling reason to use it.
Yeah.
And we'll let Stuart answer all the questions as they pour in, and we'll switch our gears to something a little less intense, but also extremely useful.
Yes, very useful.
We'll take the next slide. These are parameters that you can author that can show up or not depending on the situation. So it allows conditional configuration so that published parameters across the entire platform can be shown or not to users depending on the situation. So you get much nicer dialogues, and that's going to allow for the creation of nicer self-service data portals and so on, because the experience is just much tighter. So we're very excited about this. So roll it ahead. Yeah. So here, wow, it's kind of dizzying because we have it showing it both on Flow as well as Form.
Yes.
It's a simulcast.
Yes.
But you basically choose the kind of drink, and then the bottom of the dialogue rewrites itself. And this is where we talked about different types of tea last time, but we're not going to this time.
No, we're not going to. Yep. We're going to talk about different types of water, still versus sparkling.
Yes, I guess so.
Yeah.
But you get the concept there. So you can set these up easily with just a few clicks, and we'll show you that in a moment. And then you deploy it either to the desktop and in custom transformers or in published parameters for the whole
and then it could be
workspace.
part of an FME server app, or
And then it
whatever
goes up
you
to
want
the
to
app.
do. Yeah.
And so across the platform. And so, next slide then. And so that's the magic. When you're authoring and you are in the parameter manager, you can just flip on conditional visibility. Normally you do it for a group box, like this is showing the coffee options in a group, and then you make it go or not based on an option that's above it in the dialogue. And then you just put all the things like the coffee and the tea options. If we wanted to do water options, like Don suggested, we could do a third group box. And then as long as they all had conditional visibility turned on with the right test, then only the right thing shows up. Now you can make a mess if you're not careful.
But you could. Yes.
And again, a tired old quote: with great power comes great responsibility. All right. So now we're on to getting along with each other. So let's talk about comparing workspaces.
Oh, this one's super exciting. This goes back to your thing about how do we make people, how allow people to collaborate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Collaborate as a team, or if your friend from outside gives you something and you don't really know if it's changed from what you last gave them or whatever, as you're working with external folks, it lets you see things. So again, you compare things side by side, you see the differences and you reconcile it. And we don't think there's too many other graphical environments, no code environments that attempt to do this. So
I've never seen it.
I think the team has pushed the envelope here, and this has been this is a huge redo really of our first attempt in the last release. And you'll see there. So let's see. Let's watch the magic. You choose compare. You pick your two workspaces. So you choose compare off the get started. You choose the second one. The first one is the one you can edit. So that was the first change we did, is one is editable, one isn't. And so there's a right and left concept here, and you can flip them if you decide, if you opened them incorrectly, you want to go the other direction. And you can go around and see what's changed. And there you can see the highlighted value. And if you want to, you hit the button to copy it, and boom, now it's been synced on that change. That change is gone. And the cards on the bottom show you the total list of changes you've got. And so, it's a little bit like WinDiff, but for graphical workspaces. And there you can see in these complex dialogues, you can start to see where the differences actually are and try to reconcile them. The team's done a very thorough, hard job of trying to basically
figure
sync all
this
this
out.
stuff. So looking forward to all your feedback, and ask that you just kind of enjoy the journey on this. But as you can see there, we can boom, you update it.
And just on that feedback thing, we really do thrive on feedback. You know, what do you like? What don't you like? What ideas do you have that would make it even better? Or what things get in the way? And that was really crucial on the first one, because the team likes to get things out and then get real feedback. And the first attempt, without feedback from partners, users, and internally, we would have never come to this amazing result. So
we do have.
I think we're watching this again. Aren't we?
It is. We can go, but we'll just mention that there are a group of people we call FME Explorers, and if you'd like to be one, you get tapped on the shoulder for interviews and focus group testing. And Zhao Meng and Karen and others, that was a big part of this. There was a lot of focus group testing done. So if you'd like to be an FME Explorer, put in the chat, and Xiaoming will add you to her list. And we can go to the next slide, although it is fun to watch again.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Now,
Well, this is just mind-boggling. This is so good.
yes. Now, sadly, neither Dawn nor I know how to use Git.
That's right.
But if we did,
Yes.
then,
But we understand the value here.
Yes.
Yes.
So the idea here is there's a link there, and maybe I'll get Elizabeth to chat out the link if anybody wants to follow that up and just read it if you're a Git person. So we'll just hope Elizabeth can get that link. But the doc people have written it up. But basically, you edit your Git configuration. You identify that for FMW files, there it is, that you identify that you want to use Workbench as your diffing tool. And then when there's a collision, which is some scary thing in Git, then this pops up and you can see yours versus theirs, and then the base
versus ours.
Each of them.
And the base versus, and the only one you can edit is ours, right?
Yeah. So that really is as it should be.
That's really you should. You shouldn't be allowed to edit theirs. Although sometimes, you really would like to edit theirs. Or the base either. Yes.
Yes. So, so yes, that's the thing. If you're a Git person, this should be useful to you. And if you're a Git person, the last of your issues is going to be configuring this.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Now, does this work with GitHub as well?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know that Stuart's had success with this. I know that Stuart actually, I was reading in the log.
Stuart, Git is fine. So Stuart says,
Yep. Stuart's made it work. Yeah.
Yes, GitHub is fine. So there you go.
I think Stuart will tell you that you do have to follow the instructions carefully.
Yes.
I know that Stuart's first attempt, he had troubles.
Yeah.
But
it's, Git is not for the faint of heart.
No. But if you're managing that, you're going to have no trouble with this.
That's right.
So there you go.
Yeah.
It's better now. Yeah. Stuart did it before there was Doc.
So yeah. No wonder he was, he felt like he was stumbling in the dark.
Yeah, he was actually in the dark.
He was in the dark.
All right. Productivity stuff.
Yeah, so performance. This release is the fastest FME ever. And it's kind of funny. Some people say, you have CPU-based CPU usage pricing. Why do you keep making FME faster? Aren't you in some ways cutting into your own, would it be cake? I don't know. But of course, we're going to, data sets are just exploding and we want everybody to be able to get more done faster.
Yeah.
And the second thing, of course, is one of the things of FME is that ever expanding, ecosystem we have to connect to more and more systems and more data. So that's what we're up to.
So let's take a look at the performance stuff. So you can go ahead to the next slide. This is this rollout. And most of you, I think, as we say in our talk, the first rule about bulk mode is that we don't talk about bulk mode.
That's right, because you don't even know it's there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but this is just to let you know, those of you that have been with us for a while, we've been rolling out this high-speed subsystem across all of FME. And I declare that effectively we're done-ish.
346, is that like 90 some odd %?
Well, it's actually not, but there's a huge number of transformers where it doesn't make any sense.
That's right.
Like all the raster and point cloud ones.
Yeah, doesn't make sense. Yeah.
So basically anything, we're declaring that for what we wanted to accomplish in 23.0, we are in quotes done. There's a couple of stragglers that'll be picked up. Like Miguel's idea there. You don't really have to fight, but you might feel like you got so much extra time. So we can go ahead to the next one. Just to get a sense of some of the improvements. The team, it wasn't enough that we had just turned them to bulk mode. There were other things done in this in this release.
And the thing that you can just see the work the team did here, because often to get higher speed means there's a trade-off and you use more memory. So not only did our team make it faster, they actually decreased at the same time the memory usage. So that is, pretty impressive engineering.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I know, again, Don, I'll use my old line, maybe for the last time. It tastes great and it's less filling.
I don't think it'll be the last time.
You know me, I love that line. It's just so good. And you have to be born in about 1960 to know what I'm referring to. But anyway, the other thing to note about this chart, this is since 2022.2.
It's not versus 2022.0, and 2022.2 was much faster than 2022.
Yes. So
really, Dale, you should have gone to .0.
Or I actually should have gone to 2017.
Oh, yeah. Then it would have been like astronomical. Well, some of the things never finished, so that would have been an infinite speed increase.
Yeah, Clipper actually had a total rewrite in this release.
Yeah.
Somebody, Quarantine, noticing that. And yes, very, very true. So, and Tyler actually, that's, again, since its update in the last one. So
and look at the memory reduction. I mean, some things it would just blow its brains out.
Yes.
So
So anyway, now we'll go for the next one, which I was playing around, people will tell from the timestamp, which maybe will be cut off a little bit. This was a little bit late last night.
Yeah.
But I got the database of all the Wikipedia locations that are referred to in all the articles.
Right.
And I separated out only the English ones. And this is reading them from the new flat GeoBuff format, which is really, really fast.
Yeah.
And I'm overlaying the locations of interesting things from Wikipedia onto the countries of the world.
Yeah.
And there you go. And I was manipulating and playing around with this data, and there was, in the original data set, there was 6 million points because it had them in different languages. This was 1.3 million. We just overlaid 1.3 million points on the countries. We filled in any, I missed my chance to talk about it because it's running again now. We filled in any of the null attributes that by overlaying, I can fill in the missing countries basically. Some of them had countries, some didn't. And then I'm filtering them out to see which ones are cities and so on. Then I was just writing out the cities to flat GeoBuff. So all this stuff happening. And if we catch it here at the end, the greatly sped up data inspector, that's why it's so fast. We're going to display about 500,000-ish point features here. And it's going to be so fast if you don't look carefully. We're building towards it.
Yep. Here we go. Here we go.
And clicking on it. There it is. And
boom,
there they are.
Done.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And that's so much faster than before.
So we've had reports from the field. People have overheard people in the field exclaiming about how fast the data inspector is for 2D. And there's people horrified at that speed. So we're running this now for the third time. Anyway, let's not worry about it. But the last thing I'll say is that when I was playing with this data, I'm playing around with 6 million point features, and I'm iterating to understand the data. I was filtering and so on, and it was like interactive at 6 million. So that was pretty amazing. So, and the standalone, everything is improved. It's all the 2D display. So anyway, a few new transformers. The classifier lets you put in, basically divide your data into classes based on these different things that there's nice doc about. And again, a happy FME user saying all their dreams have come true, which I think means they voted for Pedro. Somebody will remember the vote for Pedro, because then your dreams will come true. So anyway, this is an example of coloring all the regions in Canada by population density being shown there. All right. Date time rounder. I'm going to use this in the future to set when I'm going to leave home to come to these events. I'm going to round down. So that'll actually get me to leave a bit quicker. So that I'll be here to see all the scramble that went on.
That's right. You actually didn't miss much, but just Elizabeth and I trying very many rooms. So there you go.
I didn't actually know we did a date time rounder, but
nice.
That's a hard thing to do. It's tricky to round. And rounding to seconds feels like it's not that significant, but rounding to the nearest hour, rounding down, I think would be good. So there you go. Nick is going to save time with this. And I like this one. The founder of Shopify posted his list of cool tech things around Christmas time, and he was excited about ULIDs, which are shorter than UUIDs or GUIDs. And so we put them together, and the ULIDs are
sequenceable,
sortable, but I actually found when I was testing this is that FME is too darn fast, because basically all the ULIDs from the same millisecond get the same ULID prefix.
Same prefix.
The other part, they're still unique. But if you sort them, you aren't going to get the exact order that they were made. All you know is by the millisecond. So anyway, there you go. Oh, I thought we would just throw in, we didn't call it out, but those that didn't follow the OpenAI stuff, and Elizabeth can maybe chat out that webinar link. If you want to know about the things we've added to let you use artificial intelligence within the workflows, generative AI within the workflows, that's all available to everybody, both of 2022.2 as well as the current one. There you go. There's a nice hour's view for you.
And much of that stuff's on FME Hub. So you can use it right now.
Exactly. You don't have to get to next FME even. Attribute Manager, this was one of the highest rated things to adjust data types in the Attribute Manager. So you'll see what the definition, the schema we read from the source was. And let's follow this along. There's a nice button on the bottom that says import. I think if Elizabeth goes, yes, the import one, and you can say import the types from the feature cache if you've got feature caching. And then Don's code that he wrote in 1996 gets called. And you know what? We found a bug in Don's code.
You did, from 1996.
It was actually always giving one extra character of space.
Well, you know, just for good. I know exactly probably why I did that. Probably in the middle of the night, and I was like, does the /n count or not?
Yeah, the terminating null.
No,
it turns out we don't need it, so we're saving one byte
everywhere.
Yeah,
awesome.
And so that's what you get. And if you go to the next slide, if you want to understand the implications of this, I decided not to get into the details, but Mark Ireland and I did a deep dive. That's what's called FME Brain up there.
Oh, okay.
It's with the new approved colors.
Right.
And you can go and watch this. Mark and I get into the details and the implications of this.
Yes.
Because it's really valuable if you use the writer in automatic mode.
Yes.
And if you have several writers going, you only
Yes.
change the data in one place.
Yes.
And that's the thing. And Attribute Manager, I think it's much better.
Yeah, and it's great to see it leveraging the feature caching. Using the feature caching to actually help with the authoring is fantastic.
Yeah. And Harriet's got a good thing for us to look into. That should normally work, but I believe there are scenarios where we're doing that and we'll fix that. And David, yes, our dream, it's actually on the board.
Yeah.
I don't know when we're going to get to it, but it is high to get comments, kind of like there is in Excel. In the Attribute Manager. So anyway, check out the FME Brain deep dive.
And of course on the ecosystem, we're always adding new systems, and so there's just a list of them there. If it doesn't say reader and writer, it's both, and so you can see support for Airtable, ArcGIS Server Feature Service Writer. Yeah, which one excites you? There's one here. Well, the generative AI is in white, so that must have been one that you really like.
It's because I made a hyperlink to that same webinar.
Yes.
If those folks are reviewing the slides later, it's a small thing, but there's people out there that wanted ND. That's new line delimited JSON. And that's a great one. The flat GeoBuff is the dark horse. I use it for that demo. It is one fast format. And it is spatially indexed as well. So if you put it up on a cloud, it works. I see Justin's excited about Databricks. Don, you're excited about Databricks.
I'm excited about Databricks too. And so we've added Databricks support. We've also didn't make the list because we added it last time, but we've done a lot of work on Parquet.
Yes.
Made it much faster. And then we're going to be working on GeoParquet. And so stay tuned in that whole, area there. And again, another highlight to FME Hub.
Yes.
Again, lots of work being added there, and the rate at which things are being added to FME Hub is tremendous. Yeah.
Trimble Connect was asked for a long time, and that adds the suite of different, basically storage places where people move data in and out in FME workflows. Autodesk has their own docs thing, and of course Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, OneDrive, blah blah blah. All those. So FME basically plays well in these cloud environments. I did call out COG, Cloud Optimized GeoTIFF. It actually was in the last release, but you couldn't, it wasn't obvious. We didn't make it its own name. It was just GeoTIFF.
Oh boy.
And you have to make the right settings. So we decided, because people were having troubles finding it, to add that there. And you'll see us, I think later this year, we're going to do a webinar on cloud native things, because FME is getting to be
What about Cloud Optimized Point Cloud?
It's actually top people are working on it right now. I can literally, they are right now. So the Copic, the so-called Copic is being worked on right now. And Kevin's asking about predictive AI. And yes, we have plans around that. You can see some of our AI. We have a roadmap with 5 levels of AI. And level 6 is that it's self-aware. Maybe that's Skynet. But we may not push for level 6, but we'll try to get to 5. And yes, COG has all the image metadata.
Okay, there's one we're not talking about because I think it's on the next, it's coming up here pretty quick.
It gets its own slide.
That's right. So, and there it is, Revit writing.
Asked for a long time. There's a bunch of different paths here, but really the Slim BIM, I credit my Norwegian friends for giving me that name, but basically generating a starting point model and off you go. And we have plans to actually extend that, and that's actually coming up too. So it's just the beginning, but some pretty exciting things coming on the Revit side. So if we can go and watch the vid, I think. There it is. So you can kind of see us firing up, and we're basically, this is a Revit to Revit translation, which we wouldn't really recommend somebody do, because if you had a Revit file, you probably wouldn't make another one. But this gives you an idea of what we end up creating. It's not as rich as the first one was, but it has all the objects there. And again, if you want the background or bringing data in from other places, that's what it is. Don has been advocating, and we've got a plan for a version of this where we treat the Revit file, the writing one, more as a database.
Yes.
So you can delete things out of it.
Yes.
And keep things.
That's right.
And maybe add point features. So
yeah, because we have lots of users out there who have a huge Revit file and they only want, you know, small parts of it for many workflows. So if they could, in their first workflow, reduce the size of that Revit file by treating it like a database and deleting all the things that they don't care about downstream, then all their downstream workflows would be much faster because Revit files are huge.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's just some background on that one. So.
Yeah. And so that's what we're excited about. Let us know if you are interested in Revit writing, and we're still kind of always looking for discovery and quick wins, but there is a phase 2 about to happen, and we're excited to get phase 1 into people's hands soon. All right. Oh, we'll just take Jesper's question about the Trimble Connect connector or Trimble connector. That is a way that you can, in workflows, put files up into Trimble Connect or bring them back down. And then those files may have just been produced. They might have been lying around on your file system. Maybe you're reorganizing things. There's a variety of automation workflows that can happen there.
So, okay, Elizabeth.
Yeah, we've got a poll here. Yeah. So if you head to the tab on the bottom right, polls, we've launched one there.
So our Alberta friends are going to be tired out because they were voting all day yesterday. Now they have to vote again. They don't catch a break. So sorry, that's Alberta guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're rolling in.
Performance. Everybody cares about.
That's what Don says.
Yeah.
How many users have you met that don't care about performance?
I have not met one ever. And you can see the importance of deployment parameters as well. Helping people share and move things up the pipeline. Awesome.
Yeah, the performance, that's the thing. You just sit down and start going, and it's hard to say. Sometimes you do have to put down a new version of the transformer, but not necessarily. Like you bring an old workspace up there, and
then there's a sync button to refresh the values. And when you're authoring. Good. Awesome.
Well, that brings us to the end. I know there's a whole pile of questions there that we haven't really looked at, which we'll get to, but let's look at some of the resources. We've already given you a bunch of links in the chat. But besides that, take it away, Don.
So if you're new to FME and the value of spatial data, we have a nice spatial data for the Enterprise for Dummies book. There's also the Academy that we have so you can learn your own stuff. And we haven't talked about it, but all new Academy is going to be coming shortly. So next. Our knowledge base, of course, that's where that Git, how to configure Git is very technical doc, and there's so much good stuff there on how-tos and demos. And of course, Elizabeth runs many webinars, and all the webinars are on demand as well. So if you've missed one or you see one going by and you're not able to make it live, it's all right there.
There's also, we don't have a link for it, but maybe Elizabeth or Mark Ireland, if he's tuned in, can. But Mark Ireland's running a set of, I think, 12 deeper dives into some of these issues we talked about today, where he's got the developer or a local expert. And those are going to be running, I think they're around noonish Pacific time on Thursdays over the next several weeks. So if you're interested in really digging in on some of these different topics, follow Mark Ireland's things like that. And if Elizabeth has a link, oh, there it is. She's put that out. Manitoba Mark, it's called. So there you go.
And some next steps, of course, contact us if you have any questions about anything. We love to help you and to get started. So reach out to us and we can talk and help you and share and learn what we need to do next. And so there you go. It's just as easy as that, info@safe.com. And last but not least, whether you're a new user or a user who's been using FME for a while, the accelerator is 90 minutes and you'll get exposed to the entire platform. So initially we made this to help new users, but we've had, in fact, more users have used FME for years, but they just want to, maybe you bought it 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and now you want a good survey of everything. And that's what the accelerator is always about. And it's only 90 minutes.
This is no longer your grandpa's FME.
It's no longer your grandpa's FME or your grandma's even. So, and don't forget, we're having our user conference, our worldwide user conference this year is in Bonn, and it's going to be Bonn, Germany, and it's going to be the biggest FME user conference yet. So we're really excited about there. Great partners from around the world are going to be there, users from around the world. And are you going, Dale?
I actually have my tickets.
Awesome. Me too.
Yeah.
And a bunch of Safer Stewards going to be there, and a lot of folks.
Yeah. So, and that's coming up awfully fast.
It is.
Like
September.
that's like, seriously, that's not very far away.
It's almost time for us to start packing.
Well, at least the way I do it. Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah. We'll look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah.
Some Q&A. Well, I just want to.
Yeah, there was one that went by about the FME remote engine service, and whether it's, and the remote engine service URL has to be able to be seen by the core FME server. It doesn't have to be public, so it doesn't have to be on the public internet, because that would be crazy. But it has to be visible. So if it's inside your organization, then then they have to be addressable to each other. Or if you're using one cloud, then of course you would set up a VPC or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed John was asking or mentioning too that the remote engines are actually pretty good for that scenario where you have a machine or two that has your ArcGIS server on it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then put a remote engine on there, get it all connected up. And now with the queue rules, you can run
Yes,
stuff.
you can. You can. And and it's a remote engine. It's not one engine. You can have many engines underneath. And that can be, you can do all your fancy stuff of scaling up and down your remote engine service. You can also set it up where the remote engine service actually isn't there. And so you could then send a whole bunch of jobs, and using the queue and all the queuing rules on FME server, you could then have a job that starts the remote engine service. And in the future, you're going to see, exciting things. You're going to see Flow hosted for the first time also be able to be remote engine service, or call out to a remote engine that might be in a VPC somewhere else or something like that. So so it's really, really going to be exciting. So
I want to talk about Billy's comment around the Apple Silicon speed ups.
Yes.
So we've experienced this ourselves as well. So he says here, MacBook Pro 2019 with an i9 with the old FME 2022.0, about 20 minutes, 19 minutes to run something.
Yeah.
Does the same thing on an M1 Max MacBook 2022, 8 minutes. So that's better than twice as fast. Yeah. And then 2023, that's just algorithmic changes. Yeah. Gets it down to 4 minutes.
Yeah. And Dale and I have ordered Apple M2 Max machines.
Yes.
With 96 gig on a laptop, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be really exciting as well. So
we'll be able to get so much done.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. I mean, it's not even called a coffee break at Safe anymore.
No. It's
called a coffee sprint. You used to be able to go away and FME was doing this thing. Now you literally have to race to the coffee machine, get your coffee, and race back. So now we have to give everybody mugs with lids.
Yeah, or actually, I think you can phone your order in ahead of time.
Yeah, that's right.
Because then it'll be ready.
Yeah.
So let's see. Should we hop over to the actual questions tab, and maybe we'll bring Stuart in?
Right.
Yeah, and I'll invite John and Dale if you want to turn back on your webcams. We can take a look here.
Oh, right.
Well, just the one webcam, because I don't.
There we go.
I can turn on. If people want to see how the sausage is made, let's see. I don't know why. It seems like it's not wanting to show me.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Pulling values and drop-down server parameters from yes, there is a chance. So, and we're working on that right away. And this is the idea is one of the challenges with FME server apps is the parameter values are fixed links at publish time.
Yes.
And so what we're doing is we're going to change that. So you'll be able to specify within the FME server app and other places in FME a URL that'll then be based on a value you pick. So let's say you picked the United States and you wanted to drop down to be states, and you pick Canada, you wanted provinces and things like that for those dynamic lists that are dependent. And by making it a URL, then you can use S3 or other things or any URL to populate the drop down value. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do we want to say here? Will there be new wallpapers? I think we should do new wallpapers.
Yes, in the new brand.
Yes.
And
Lizard and Zipster, they're going through some things right now.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're just enjoying life, taking a little break.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they'll resurface from time to time. We can hope that who knows, they might be in that giant claw machine sometime.
Yeah.
I see Stuart has joined us there.
Yeah. Any questions you see there, Stuart, you want to address?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep. You sound great.
I was just going to clarify around Git and support for the version control you showed. So we support the underlying technology Git. So things like GitHub, SourceForge, Bitbucket, Azure DevOps, they all support Git. So unless you're using kind of SVN or something, we can basically support the service that you're using. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Vector databases for ML work. You know what? That's something we have innovation days going on right now. That would be a good.
That would be a good one.
thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Global parameters. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a list? Yeah, we should publish. We do have the list of the transformer ports basically that support bulk mode.
It would be shorter to have a list of the ones that didn't that would need it, right? Because there's some that don't need it, and so you wouldn't want them not on a list. But that's a great point, Lynn.
The idea was we did actually do this very hard job. We had some help from an outside good friend to go and create a workspace for every single transformer, pump bulk mode features in, and then test if we get bulk mode out or not.
Yes.
And that was the way that we could actually come up with this list. And the goal was to actually produce the definitive list.
Yeah.
Although the first rule is that we don't really talk about it.
Yeah.
But yes, we can produce. I will escalate that with the team, and we'll see if we can get.
Yeah, and somebody asked about global parameters and automations. Those are going to have a rethink, honestly, to be better and to integrate with deployment parameters better. There's lots of work coming around the entire FME flow interface. That's part of 23.0. And then we're really going to look at how do we make the automations interface better from global parameters. Is just one of the things that we're going to talk about. So yeah.
Let's see. Any other ones we should talk about, Don?
Vector databases, you did that one. Any improvements? Well, this is one. Any improvements to the installer more accurate, the upgrade process for FME flow. This is actually one of the other benefits of the remote engines. One of our thoughts is we want to get to the point where, we separate the control plane of FME flow from the processing plane. And FME just went dark again. And FME remote engine is the first step in that. And so that now you could have, because we didn't talk about that, but one use of FME remote engine is when you have FME 23.0, and now you want to try FME 23.1 or FME 23.2 or FME 24. You could spin up a remote engine of that, and then have your jobs routed to that FME remote engine, verifying that everything works. As a nice way of getting it, of ensuring that you're going to have fewer issues as you migrate. We do so much work trying to make, FME from one release compatible, but we're changing and improving things so quickly. Sometimes it's just a different answer. Sometimes we make an answer better, and it actually breaks people's workflows because, so we recognize that we have to make that whole upgrade process, better. And that's also, the whole deployment parameters. Now you could also have, you can use those to move a workflow. And if it doesn't work, then it's not, gee, I wonder if I configured something properly or not, because you would know. So there's a number of things. We do have to solve the issue of being able to install multiple FME flows on a single Windows box. And that is, got its challenges, but of course the first step in that is making FME remote engine be able to be installed on the same box as a Windows machine, and solving that solves about 96%, maybe 98% of what we have to do.
So just as we part, I think we'll address head on this concept about what's the status of FME 2023.0. It is released. It is generally available. It's on our website. It is not considered the official one right now, where we kind of are giving it a little bit of time to burn in a little bit, because we've had feedback that people want us to be a little more cautious, and so that's what we're doing. But those that want, you can have it, and we'll flip it over to the official. I think we're feeling pretty good about it. That there's been early reports have been very, very positive. We're just being a bit cautious there. But I would suggest the next couple, 3-4 weeks at the most.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll see it flip over.
But you can use it right now, certainly.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. So that it's a little different process we've tried this time, where we have them both sort of sitting there, but it is generally available, and I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah. So do I. Yeah.
It's pretty darn good. So I think that's probably all. If we didn't get to your question, we will be following up afterwards. The team will be, and thanks for chiming in. And probably, Elizabeth, we have to, faster DI for 3D.
That's
Don would like that.
Yeah, a lot of, and also have the base map in when you go to 3D mode. And so both of those things are on the roadmap. And so, so you'll see those. That's pretty much a complete rewrite of the 3D engine underneath.
Yeah, we were using some fine vintage 2000s technology.
That's right.
That
And,
we think we can modernize and do some stuff. If please do vote for that question or chime in. If you care about 3D viewing, we'd love to know your use case.
Yeah.
But we have a team lined up, and this is a good reason for them to go after it.
Yeah. So
I think that's probably it.
Yeah. Next slide, Elizabeth. I think there's people can get their communities. Yeah.
I think Elizabeth is there.
Yeah.
Mark Graham says he's going back to bed. It'd be very hard to go back to sleep after the excitement of this, I would say. Where does the flat GeoBuff format come from? It was invented by one individual who decided to make a new format that solves a variety of problems, and they made it available to open source community. It works great in a variety of places, but somebody had a dream and they pursued that dream using a variety of technologies that were floating around. It also works very well in cloud native too.
Nice.
So anyway, I think I could keep talking probably till
we could go till lunch.
We could keep our friend in New Zealand up for the rest of his morning
until there's no point in going back to bed.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe we should stop. What do you say, Elizabeth?
I say that sounds good. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in, and thanks, Don and Dale, for an awesome presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
and do keep the comments coming. That's what drives us and helps make FME better for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, Stuart, thanks so much for manning the Q&A. Elizabeth, fantastic job keeping us organized and getting us technically sorted out.
That's right.
There's so much time to spare.
Yep, we made it work. Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Great. Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.